The school of the Lady of Baqi, Lady al-Banin, peace be upon her. Chapter 7. وَاتْلُ عَلَيْهِمْ نَبَأَ ابْنَيْ آدَمَ بِالْحَقِّ إِذْ قَرَّبَا قُرْبَانًا فَتُقُبِّلَ مِنْ أَحَدِهِمَا وَلَمْ يُتَقَبَّلْ مِنَ الْآخَرِ قَالَ لَأَقْتُلَنَّكَ قَالَ إِنَّمَا يَتَقَبَّلُ اللَّهُ مِنَ الْمُتَّقِينَ. Tell them the true story of the two sons of Adam, Abel and Cain. Each one of them offered a sacrifice. God accepted the sacrifice of one of them, Abel, but not that of the other, Cain, who then said to his brother, "I shall certainly kill you." Abel replied, "God only accepts the offerings of the pious ones." Surah Mubarakah al-Ma'idah, verse 27. God, the Almighty and Glorious, in verse 27 of Surah al-Ma'idah, speaks about the offering and its acceptance, which is accepted only from those who are muttaqeen, the pious. An offering means something that brings a person closer to God, and from this same perspective, a ransom, fidya, is also called an offering. Amir al-Mu'minin Ali described prayer as the sacrifice of the pious, and said, "As-salatu qurbanu kulli taqi." In other words, as-salah, that is, the prayer performed with all its pillars and components, is the place of sacrifice for the pious. It is the means and vessel for offering one's soul as a ransom in obedience to God and in drawing near to Him. Thus, establishing the prayer, which according to the interpretation of Imam Hassan Askari, means performing the prayer with all its pillars and prescribed limits. أقيموا الصلاة بإتمام وضوئها وتكبيراتها وقيامها وقراءتها وركوعها وسجودها وحدودها. Establish the prayer by completing its ablution, its opening takbirs, its standing, its recitation, its bowing, its prostration, and its prescribed boundaries. And whose inner meaning, batin, is establishing the wilaya. وَقَوْلُهُ يُقِيمُونَ الصَّلَاةِ فَمَنْ أَقَامَ وَلَايَتِي فَقَدْ أَقَامَ الصَّلَاةِ. They establish the prayer. Whoever establishes my wilaya has indeed established the prayer. In its most complete form, it is the servant's act of offering himself as a ransom for his Mawla. The most perfect manifestation of self-sacrifice was made manifest in the tranquil soul, al-nafs al-mutma'inna, the absolute believer, Abal Fadl al-Abbas, in the Karbala of Hussein. That blessed figure who embodied within himself all the qualities of the pious, and thus, his prayer was indeed his sacrifice, just as Amir al-Mu'minin Ali described prayer as the place of sacrifice for the pious. The qualities of the pious, as mentioned in Khutbah Humam narrated from him, were all manifested in their most perfect form in the absolute believer, Abbas. Thus, the moon of Banu Hashem at Karbala established the prayer in its most complete form, with all its pillars and components, in a manner that brings one near to God. And that was, by his Mawla's permission, the offering of himself as a ransom for his Mawla. From another perspective, the reality of prayer is the ascension of the believer. Thus, the most perfect form of establishing the prayer was the one performed by the gate of Hussein, al-Abbas, beside the river of the Euphrates, when he offered himself as a sacrifice and thereby attained nearness to God and ascension. At that moment, when he placed his blessed hands into the waters of the Euphrates and filled the waterskin, yet did not drink himself, he said, "Ya nafsa min ba'dil Hussein, huni wa ba'dahu la kuntu an takuni." O soul, life after Imam Hussein has no value, and after him you must not remain. Then he set out toward the tents, while both his right and left hands were severed on the path of bringing water for the children of Hussein, and thus he recited his battle verses. Wallah in qata'tum yamini, inni uhami abadan an dini. By God, even if my hands are severed, I will never let go of Hussein. Thus, he performed the prayer's full ablution, wudu. At the moment when he bent down to remove the three-pronged arrow from his blessed eye, he embodied the meaning of bowing, rukur. And when he fell from his horse, his blessed face upon the ground, he embodied the meaning of prostration, sujud. The martyrdom of Abbas was itself the establishment of that nearness-bringing prayer which his blessed being performed in the Karbala of Imam Hussein, the greatest sanctuary of servitude in existence, with all its pillars. He had learned to establish this prayer, which is the sacrifice of the one drawn near, self-sacrifice, while having the recognition of the Mawla, by his permission and in the way of God, from his noble mother, Lady Al-Banin, and in Karbala he brought it to its most excellent manifestation. She was the lady who, with her declaration, "My sons and all under the skies are sacrifices for Abba Abdillah al-Hussein," opened the door of self-sacrifice for the lovers and devotees of Hussein in this world, and laid down the model for offering oneself as a sacrifice. The school of Lady al-Banin is a school of raising souls for self-sacrifice in the way of the Mawla and the Imam. It is that very prayer which, in order to establish it with all its parts, conditions, and pillars, one must go to the place of sacrifice and be offered, so that the prayer may be one that brings nearness to God.